Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. That means we get to review AEW Dynamite. As you know, we enter its fallout after this past Sunday in Revolution. We're going to see what's going to happen, what things could take place in the upcoming months and weeks, who will be challenging what, and what's the storylines been happening. But also, as you know, New Japan Pro Wrestling also continued on with more of the New Japan Cup. We're still continuing with the first round matches. And of course, there's certain things that are taking place regarding certain wrestlers and stipulations and all this other stuff. And of course, we got some news updates. Definitely, we got to talk about what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with New Japan Pro Wrestling. We continue more with the New Japan Cup. We still continue with the first round matches. But first things first, let's review the other matches they have, the non-New Japan Cup matches. Our first one, we have Yuto Nakashima, the Young Lion, teaming up with the Roughneck Shota Umino, taking on TMDK Kosei Fujita and Zack Sabre Jr. Now, this is a very unique, interesting matchup because if you guys know, Yuto Nakashima is still pissed with Fujita. As you know, Fujita not being the young lion as she should be, doing all the chores, helping out. He basically doesn't have to do that anymore since he joined TMDK. But however, it was Fujita who made the loss when Shota Umino applied a what he called, well, I don't know, I'm not sure if it's a snare trap, but he actually ranked it even further back, forcing Fujita to tap out. So I'm sure this is I think Zack Sabre was impressed by that. But however, I wouldn't be surprised if Shota Umino will challenge for the IWGP World Television title. Now, our next match, we have the members of Just Tap Out, all four of them. Doiki, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Taka Michinoku, and Taichi, taking on the Bullet Club, consistent of Chase Owens, El Phantasmo, Kenta, and of course, the newest member, and I'm not sure if he's possibly the leader, David Finlay. However, something is happening within the Bullet Club ranks. Apparently, it appears El Phantasmo has a problem with the idea of Finlay joining. Now, we don't know what it is. Now, there's still some unanswered questions about the reasons of Finlay's joining. Geto was the one who came out with him in day one of the New Japan Cup. The obvious question is, how long was Geto planning this? Now, keep in mind, he could have gone with Jay White wherever he was going, but it seems like he didn't. For some reason, he got to David Finlay. So the obvious question is, did El Phantasmo had a problem with this or not? We don't know. Now, did this kind of affect it for a loss by the Bullet Club? Absolutely not, because we're seeing how now the Bullet Club are trying to get back on top. As you know, I mentioned before, Bullet Club has leaders that come and go. But could this be a new change of pace? We don't know. But it was David Finlay that applied the Trash Panda onto Taka Michinoku and won. However, El Phantasmo wasn't up for the too sweet. We don't know what's the situation, but later on, Chase Owens spoke in the commentary section with Kevin Kelly. He said he tries to find answers with El Phantasmo to find out what's going on. So basically, he didn't respond. So it's still unclear what's going on in the head of El Phantasmo. Like, what's his deal? Does he have a problem with the idea of David Finlay becoming a new member? We don't know, but we'll find out more answers on the next New Japan Cup that will be taking place on the 10th. Our next match, we have members of the United Empire, consisting of Great Khan and Hanare, taking on LIJ's Bushi and Shingo Takagi. Now, keep in mind, Shingo and Aaron Hanare will be in a match in the New Japan Cup, but as you know, most likely we could see Aaron Hanare targeting Shingo for the KOPW championship that he has right now. But this is only one thing. As you know, Aaron Hanare has spoken that this is his time now to take his place because he felt that he's been hold back, and now since joining the United Empire, that he's going to go on the top. United Empire are now saying 2023 will be their year, but we'll see what happens. But it was Bushi who ended up on the wrong side of the full Nelson by Aaron Hanare. But Aaron Hanare has Shingo Takagi in his sights. Now, two things will happen between those two. We do have the first round match taking place. Who will walk out? We don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if Hanare issues a challenge for the KOPW Championship. Now, our next match, we got LIJ members, because the other members of LIJ, Hiromu Takahashi, Sanada, and Tetsuya Naito taking on Tomoaki Honma, Leo Rush, and Tama Tonga, which is interesting. You probably would have guessed that this match was going to be a fun, interesting. Don't forget, it was Leo Rush who issued the challenge against Hiromu for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. That will be taking place soon enough. But I wouldn't be surprised if somehow down the line we will see Tama Tonga confront either Sanada or Naito down the line in a New Japan Cup. But it will be interesting. But the match ended with Naito with the Destino on Honma, giving them the win. Our next match, we got the other members of the United Empire, consistent of Kyle Fletcher, Jeff Cobb, and Will Ospreay, taking on the members of Chaos, consistent of Yo, and of course our current IWGP heavyweight tag team champions, Bushiman, Yoshihashi, and Hiroki Goto. But, however, in much of this match, you can tell that Kyle Fletcher has his sights set on Bushiman and the IWGP heavyweight title. So that could indicate that. But it was Will Ospreay with the hidden blade that put away Yo, giving them the win. Now, Will Ospreay says that the New Japan Cup will put him back on the map, and hopefully he gets another opportunity of the IWGP heavyweight champion. Now, there's still those are saying he could be the fan favorite to win, but there's plenty others. I mean, Naito has said that this could be the possibility for him to get back on top. And I wouldn't be surprised if Will Ospreay and Naito, on the other hand, bump into each other once again. Now, our next two matches are involving the New Japan Cup first rounds. We have Mark Davis of Aussie Open, also a member of the United Empire, taking on Chaos's member, Toru Yano. Now, you probably can guess that every single time when we see Yano will do his little sneaky little tricks to ensure he wins the match. Some things did not work, but there was moments where we saw that they went in under the ring, because there is one weakness that Yano has. He's afraid of the dark. That's always been his kryptonite. All thanks to the House of Black. No, the House of Torture, my bad. But it did not work that much often. But he did some sort of like a spinning down slam or something to Yano, giving Mark Davis the win. Do I think he's going to win this thing? I highly doubt it, because I'm sure that Davis also has the tag titles in mind too, much like Fletcher. Now, our main event is Evil versus Ren Narita. Now, Evil had it in for Ren Narita from day one since he came back. Reasons behind that, he hates Antonio Inoki and the strong style stuff. So he thinks it's a load of baloney. He believes that if he defeats Ren Narita, the numbers of strong style will diminish. Everybody hates Evil and the House of Torture. But of course, that no good, nothing spoiler, that Togo keeps getting in the way. You probably would have thought Ren Narita won, but no. Apparently, it was the everything is evil that allow him. But Evil, I don't know if he is going to be one of those who could win. We know he has won the New Japan Cup back in 2020. That was the year when he betrayed Naito and joined the Bullet Club. So that is something we do know. But I highly doubt that he could win that match. So I think that's pretty much it. Now, keep in mind, the next New Japan Cup will take place on the 10th. So I think we still continue with more of the first rounds on that. So I think that's pretty much it right now. So let's move on with our final review, AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite, as you know, we entered the fallout after Revolution this past Sunday. So let's talk about it. We have the AEW All Atlantic Championship on the line. Orange Cassidy puts the title on the line against Jay Lethal. Now, you know Jay Lethal has his no good for nothing friends trying to ensure the match fall into favor. They've been known to do that, but luckily the refs told Singh, Dutt, and Jarrett they are banned from ringside, so they have no other choice. Because, as you know, Bryce Springsmers make it clear they don't not like these guys, even though Jeff Jarrett can be pissed at them all they want. But luckily, this match, there were moments where we did see that Lethal's arm or whatever was hurt. And then, of course, we saw the leg on Orange Cassidy. That could have been one of the factors that could allow them. But when you thought that Lethal had everything under control, he was about to do the lethal injection, but it failed due to the injury of his arm, like the pain on his arm or whatever. But it did give Orange Cassidy apply of course, the Orange Punch, having him retain the All Atlantic Championship. Now, as soon as that happened, Jay Lethal tried to use that Globe and Gold award that they took from Paul Hausen, and out of blue, we saw what's his name, Jeff Jarrett attacked him, and then he whacked the guitar on the knee of Jeff Jarrett. But luckily, the best friend showed up for a helping hand, but Jarrett took the last laugh. Now later on in after this, like maybe in the second hour, Tony Khan has announced that next week when they go to Winnipeg, Canada, the All Atlantic Championship will no longer be called the Atlantic Championship. It will be called the AEW International Championship. And this is something was a request by Warner Media. And it's going to be called, and I think this is a good thing. However, that title will be defended in Winnipeg. Orange Cassidy requested this match against Jeff Jarrett. I'm sure Jeff Jarrett will try to do whatever it takes to win, but be assured the refs will not allow for his buddies to get in the way. So that will be taking place. So now it's no longer called the AEW All Atlantic Championship. Is done. Is now being renamed as the AEW International Championship. Now, we do get an interview with Powerhouse Hobbs. As you know, he is ready for this match. He won the Face of the Revolution ladder match where he challenges for the TNT title. So we'll see what happens then. So he's confident that there will be a new chapter in the Book of Hobbs. Now, after an amazing match that he had with Chris Jericho, the obvious question does remain. What is Ricky Stark's next move? Now, we don't know. I mean, he could go for a championship match if he wanted to. That's something I'm sure many fans will love. When we thought that when things were getting exciting, we just saw the Bullet Club logo showing up, and then Juice Robinson's attack of Ricky Starks. We just don't know what is the purpose. He said he doesn't need to purpose, but he did stated this. Now, this is where a lot of speculations people are going to put out now. They're saying the Bullet Club is back, and that's how it is. Now, I don't know if this, some people are thinking in their right minds, Jay White could be coming to AEW. Now, keep in mind, I'm sure WWE has Jay White on their radar, but we don't know yet. We still don't know what is the plans for Jay White. That is still closed. But whatever Juice Robinson meant by that, we'll see what happens then. But I wouldn't pass Ricky Hobbs, who definitely would like to have a match against him or a little payback for what he did. Now, our next interview with Tony Schiavone, Wardlow, as you know, recently someone broke into his car, stole his wrestling gear, and stole the TNT title. But, however, he requested that this title match with Hobbs turns into a false count anywhere match. So that has been changed to that. Anything could happen. Now, back in the ring, Renee Paquette interviewed Ruby Soho. As you know, we all saw what happened in Revolution. She made her allegiance with Saraya and Toni Storm. Her point was the reason is that she felt that no one was accepting Ruby Soho. Because look, Ruby Soho made some fantastic points. They were there to help rebuild the the women's division in AEW. It looks like things kind of went the haywire. Remember, Britt Baker always believes that outsiders like them had no place in AEW. And I think that kind of led to that point. So we're looking at now that the Outcasts were being told, nope, this is where you don't belong. We've seen this type of story before. We saw that with Thunder Rosa, but I wouldn't be surprised if she comes back and either be the middle of the side. But we'll see what happens. But Ruby Soho ended up in the match against Sky Blue. You probably can guess this match ends with Sky Blue ended up being on the Destination Unknown. And here comes Saraya and Toni Storm to do the Big L. Will try to reason with Ruby Soho, but apparently it did not. She ended up 2 in the ground. And they both Sky Blue and Will Naga ended up with the L. So we'll see more battle lines being drawn. So the obvious question is, who else is an outcast like them? Will the AEW original side with Britt Baker and Toni Storm? We just don't know. So we'll see what happens after that. Now, our next interview, Hangman Page, as you know, he felt like he is a new man. Like he feels like he wants to let this go. So hopefully that's the case. But his buddies are going to be facing members of the Blackpool Combat Club. So we'll see what happens then. Now, back in the ring, Tony Schiavone interviews FTR. As you know, they came back. Apparently, they did talk about everything else, but there's one thing that does struck in their minds. After the Ring of Honor, the Guns stole that moment from them. The Guns, they are out there claiming they are the best tag team in the world. No, they're not. They only had one title defense. That doesn't make you the best tag team, and everybody knows that. So FTR said that they're going to teach them a lesson for what they did. And, of course, they're saying they're not the best tag team. They will come after the AEW World Tag Team titles. But the Guns actually did state it that they buried them 6 feet, but not this time. But they said they will show them why they are the top guns of AEW. But, like I said, they only have one victory. That doesn't mean that they're the best. You have to have more matches after this. Now, Jade Cargill, as you know, we haven't had anybody challenge her for the TBS title. However, she did state that next week they will be in Winnipeg, Canada. She said, hey, Canada, bring in your best. So we'll see what happens there. Now, we have members of the Jericho Appreciation Society, Sammy Guevara, Daniel Garcia, and Chris Jericho taking on R.A. Fox and Top Flight, Dante and Darius Martin. You can tell this match was pretty good. You know, it showed that Top Flight and AR Fox are basically cohesive, but the numbers gains coming from the JS is the one thing that made a difference. Hagar whacked Darius Martin to ensure for Jericho to apply the Judas effect to win. Now, in the post-match, they declared themselves as, of course, the number one contenders for the AEW World's Trios titles. So that's always been what they want. However, the Elite had something else to say. But Don Callis shows up. He's saying that, you know, Chris Jericho is the second best wrestler coming out of Canada. And Jericho did not like that. But into Don Callis' opinion, he thinks that he's probably third best. So that would piss him off. But however, the House of Black, they're enjoying seeing what they are seeing. We're going to have a first time ever a 3-way match for the Trios titles in Winnipeg. Now, I highly doubt that the House of Black are going to drop these titles. They're going to prove why every wrestler should fear them, why they should be seen they are the most dominant force. The JSA, they never dealt with the House of Black. We know that the Elite has because they lost the titles. So we'll see what happens then. I think, okay, yeah. Then we jump into our next match, the Bull Combat Club, Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley, taking on the members of the Dark Order, Alex Reynolds and John Silver. Man, this one was a huge slugfest. You probably can guess that they were going to be a much more brutal than ever. But, however, we know some of the Dark Order can be tough when they have to be. But it was, of course, once again with the chokehold by Moxley to Reynolds. And picked up the win. But however, once again, Moxley decided to continue with that on Reynolds, but Johnny Hogan tried to help, but Evil Uno came out to help him, and then of course it was too much. Then Hangman Page, who ignored the Blackpool Combat Club, but once again they get into another feud. So we tried to see that this was going to end, but no. We probably will see a war between the Blackpool Combat Club and the Dark Order with Hangman Page. Now, our next interview with Renee Paquette, as you know, they talked about the Acclaim. The Acclaim, they know they came up short, but they did say that they are now going to be on the road to regain the AEW tag team title. So they are willing to say, we're going to go back to the bottom and go back to the top. And I think that's a good spirit to know. But their little interview was interrupted by those so-called sports entertainers. So, this is what happened. Menard and Parker offered them to join them. And this is what happened. So they were laughing. Now, Menard and Parker have no clue what they were laughing at. Who would want to join them? I mean, we know that the Acclaim are good entertainers. Probably see them that they're better entertainers than them. But that's a pretty good one. Now, our main event is the TNT title in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Now, the match didn't start in the ring. It started in the dang parking lot between Hobbs and Wardlow. The match was going everywhere, bleeding out, going through walls, the whole shebang, however you want, until finally Wardlow and Hobbs ended up in the ring. They were about to blow each other. I was amazed when Wardlow did a swanton bomb on top of Hobbs in a table. I was amazed. But however, when we thought that Wardlow had everything under his grasp with the Powerbomb Symphony, someone whacked him with the chair, and it turned out to be QT Marshall. Now, if you guys remember what happened months ago, QT swore to Wardlow saying that his bond is his word. So it looks like he's cashing in on that. And then when he whacked low blowed and then whacked Wardlow with the chair, he told Hobbs that it's his time. He tossed him, and he was counted out by 10 and became the new the TNT champion. However, now there's a lot of clean. QT presented the TNT title. So the person who stole the title was QT. I'm sure Wardlow will get his revenge against QT. That we know, because I did mention on a report the factory is no longer has been disbanded. So basically, QT is going to go with a different angle, probably play manager to Powerhouse Hobbs. But we'll see what happens next week in Winnipeg. So I think that's pretty much it with AEW. Let's do some news updates. Okay, for our news updates. This is something interesting that came around with our favorite, the Pirate Princess, KAIRI. She did stated that on the Yokohama event next month in April, on the 23rd, I believe, she's saying that she's going to shake things up. She's bringing a special friend. Now, we don't know who she was talking about. So she said she will unveil that person on the 2nd of April in Corkin Hall. But this is where some clues began to ravel. Here comes Natsupoi. She accidentally interrupts KAIRI, but KAIRI said this to her. This was translated. Natsupoi, I'll leave the rest up to you. Now, we don't know what that meant. It was like a cryptic message or something. However, some fans are speculating because of Natsupoi of one particular person, relation to that is connecting, that possibly a connection. This goes back to a familiar face. We're talking about Saray, the warrior of the sun. If you guys remember her, Saray, in No Secret in Real Life, is good friends and BFFs with Natsupoi. As you know, when Saray actually left Japan, she was still in contact with Natsupoi. So we don't know what this means. Some people are starting to speculate that Saray, as you know, will be let me say this. It was now been announced that Saray will be officially leaving WWE and heading back to Japan. So it could be the possibility that KAIRI is bringing her along. Now, Saray did announce that she will have a press conference in her Instagram page announcing what's going on. This will take place next week on Monday, March 13th. So we can't wait. So if that's the case, but she said that it's already been announced that she will have her return match in Japan on May 6th. However, we don't know exactly too much of the details. But if you guys ask me this question, J-Rod, has Saray ever worked with Stardom? She has worked with one match before, but beyond that, no. She hasn't worked in any other with Stardom at all. That match was when she faced Mayu Iwatani. That was it. But primarily, she has worked with only two promotions in her career in Japan, and that is Diana and Sealing. That was the only two she's ever worked for. But if she does go to Stardom, it could be a good opportunity. I wouldn't pass if Bushi Rhodes decides to pay her to come to Stardom. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. But if it is, good for them, then they will get their ratings boost. So on that. Now, as you know, we have the annual CyberFight taking place real soon. They announced that apparently the venue and the local government are asking for all visitors to continue wearing the mask because it's going to be a huge event. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, you may have heard that Brian Cage is leaving AEW. He decided not to renew his contract, so that he is determined to go back to be a free agent. However, there is no secret that WWE has their sights on him. We don't know if that's the case. He never mentioned about going to WWE, but we do know WWE does have an interest in him. I'm sure you WWE fans will probably love to have him there, but we just wait and see what happens then. Now, this was announced on the ROH Twitter page. This is a spoiler, but this happened on an AEW ring. Mark Briscoe comes out. Now, as you know, of the result of his brother's passing, Mark Briscoe cannot continue being as the part of the ROH Tag Team Champions. So he set up a match that will take place at the Supercard of Honor on the 31st of March. We're going to have what he calls Reach for the Sky ladder match. So basically, it's like a ladder match with the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles at the top. But this match will only determine the crown brand new Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. The team that's already been announced involved is the Lucha Brothers. So this is huge news. Now, it looks like things have been decided for these tag titles. So we'll see how that goes. We don't know who else will participate. I could say there's several tag teams that would definitely want to participate. So I'm sure the Kingdom will be one of those guys. Who else could be? Who could be? I wouldn't be surprised with the JSA members. Possibly Top Flight. Who knows? But that's a long list to go. Now, for our GCW updates, we have two things. More on the Eyes for an Eye event that will take place on the 17th of this month. Joey Janela will be facing the Grim Reaper. So that's going to be interesting. As you know, we got the WrestleMania week taking place on the 30th. Bloodsport 9 has announced the next match. We have Jeff Cobb taking on Bad Dude Tito. That's going to be a big house fight. Now, Wrestling Revolver has announced for their Thursday event that takes place on the 6th of April. We're on. They're going to have an interesting tag match. It's called a married tag match. We're going to have the newlyweds. We have the newlyweds, Steve Macklin and his wife, Deonna Purrazzo, teaming up to take on Mike Bailey and Veda Scott. So we're going to see which couple reigns supreme. So most likely we'll see that. Now, Joan Kyona has, as you know, she participated in the 0-1 event on this past weekend. She announced on her Twitter page that they made some good money in support of Otani. From what she said they made 44,826 yen. Now, you probably ask me how much that in American dollars. That's like $326.99. So you may not think that's a lot of money, but for them it is. So that's how it works. So hopefully they continue to do more. Keep in mind that particular day was one of 2 events left with Jungle Kyona before she goes on her indefinite hiatus. We know she's in full support in helping Otani, much like we're helping her with her treatment that she will be having. Now, final thing. I talked a lot about Waka Tsukiyama. Now, something interesting has been revealed on Tokyo Sports. Tam Nakano has been spending time with Waka, helping her train to, and hopefully she gets her first win on the 25th of March. But however, this is the interesting part. I will put the photo at the end of this thing. Apparently, they're training in Dragon Ball Z style. Basically, Tam Nakano built a cardboard box of turtles on the back. If you guys remember, if you're fans of Dragon Ball Z, you remember Masahiro, she actually had one of those turtle shells on the back that help them train while they're heavy. So basically, Tam Nakano, you can look at her as Masahiroshi, and Waka possibly Goku. So you probably can see that thing. It's a pretty interesting. So I will put that photo so you guys can see it because it's kind of interesting to see. So, so I think that's pretty much it what we have for our news update. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Uh, Sorry I only kept it with 2 reviews, but I yet to see the other ones, the GCW. I think we got the JCW as well, and a few others. Don't forget we got Impact Wrestling coming up, and of course, we have. Hopefully, we get to see the Ring of Honor event. That's something I'm definitely going to be seeing. Um, we'll go from there. I am working on the next Unagi Sayaka Watch event. As you know, we'll be talking more about her recent event taking place at March 5th this past weekend against John Kyona. I think this is going to be interesting, and I'm sure we have some other stuff about her. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day.